Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast YouTube channel. My name is Samaria. I'm joined by my best friend and co-host Miyosha. And today we're reviewing Married at First Sight season 17, episode too many episodes, episode 20, Decision Day Part 1. Now, I feel like they only named it that way because Michael and Chloe still have to go. I'm hoping there's
Mm.
not like more. Yeah. But anyway, before we jump into that, please make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Give this video a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what you thought about the first part of this finale. I don't
Mm.
know. But yeah, meet us down in the comments. And if you watch Love is Blind, check out those reviews as well, because we have been reviewing
Mhm.
that show and we have one more episode to go, and that's the reunion.
Yep.
All right. So let's start with Claire and Cameron because I think we should just get them out of the way.
Why are they here? I guess because they said separated.
He said divorce. So I'm like,
Well,
okay.
yeah, she said separated. And he's like, yeah, separated.
Yeah, same thing. Like, no, that's not the same thing. Well, it kind of is in this experiment. But anyway, so they showed up. Is it me or was the fashion not fashioning this season? Decision day
It felt
usually.
like different seasons. I didn't know. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what it's like in Denver. I imagine it to just be cold, but maybe they're so used to it that they can wear sleeveless things and just a coat over it or whatever. But
it was
it did
tons
feel
of
like
snow on the ground.
mm,
But I do think in Denver, they have snow until April, I think
yeah,
sometimes. So their winter season is longer. But I would say Emily, the bright colors always look good on
that's
her.
very
So
true.
she knows her color palette
Colors,
and works well for her.
yeah,
The other ones, I mean, Becca gave
pink,
Becca.
yeah.
Um, I was kind of confused by Claire because it seemed very spring, but
It could be spring. It probably was spring over there.
yeah. But yeah, I think the other ones were fine. I did appreciate Brennan's suit. It was well fitted.
Who's?
Brennan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I appreciated
I don't
his
even
suit.
remember what that man was.
Yeah. The other ones looked fine, but I said when he walked in, I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, I like his suit. It was well
Uh-huh.
tailored." So,
Okay,
yeah.
fair. All right. So Claire and Cameron, they said a bunch of the stuff that they were saying at the beginning of this season. I guess at some point he mentioned liking slender women, and she doesn't consider herself slender, so she took that as I'm not his type. But I guess he was trying to say that he would consider her to be slender. Okay.
It just seems like more miscommunication, but that was something that was mentioned early on, and I think for whatever reason, that may have sparked this whole, "Well, are you attracted to me? Well, if you're not, then I'm not gonna try or be attracted to you."
Hmm.
Claire said that he's amazing but lacks desire. She has lacked that feeling of wanting to be desired, and I could see that, even from the airport, the way he was acting was like, this is your wife and you're leaving her. I don't know that you don't seem like you want to put much effort. And I think for her, she was guarded. Like he did try on the honeymoon to get closer to her, initiate some type of physical touch that wasn't too much, even just a
Yeah.
hug or hold hands. She was not interested. I'm glad she owned up to that part.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I do have on them is that she admits that as a therapist, she expected herself to be more emotionally aware or to be able to articulate what she was experiencing better, but she fell short of that. So I really appreciated her taking accountability. And I also appreciated Dr. Pia saying, yeah, but you're human. So you might know
Mhm.
in theory how this should be, but when you're in the practice and the emotions are hitting you really fast and you're not sure how to process them, it's a different story. But that was really
Yeah.
good.
And I think for both of them, they had a hand in why this wasn't going to work.
Mhm.
I stand by. I think Cameron came into this not realizing the way that he presented may not make a person feel the most comfortable.
Yes.
And this whole, oh, I don't have to put much effort. I don't know that that's gonna get many women on board. Maybe he just assumed, well, we're already married, so why do I have to put in the work?
Why try? Yeah.
And I think for her, she obviously realized she had way more walls up, and didn't even try a little bit in terms of initiating some type of intimacy, not sexual, but even just giving him the green, like, oh, it's okay to give me a hug. It's okay to touch me. She always seems so clammed up around him.
And she was always complaining. Remember, she'd be like, "Those are your
Judgy
shorts. Your
boots.
shorts are so short." Like, girl, okay,
It,
that's what the boys are wearing these days.
yeah. I think once he admitted he checked out early, once he realized, like, oh, she's not gonna be the easy one.
Mm.
Like he said, by the time she came around to the idea of trying more, he was already checked out. So yeah.
And then
Oh,
he said he
wh-
thinks of her as a sister. So
what do you think of that?
it was a little awkward. I'm not gonna
That
lie.
is odd. I'm sorry. Just because you break up with someone, now you see them as fake.
That attraction that used to be there, the fact that the attraction was there makes that statement so weird. But yeah, I thought it was strange of him saying, "I see you as like a sister."
No, what that Cameron, if anything, that gives credence to her questioning, were you ever even attracted to her to
Not even a
begin with?
cousin, girl.
A sister.
A whole sister.
Yeah, that was odd to me, but I'm glad they both could own their accountability. I mean, own their parts in this
Do
not
you want
working.
to do
So.
Emily and Brennan and then do Becca and Austin last so that we can go into the end of the episode?
Mhm.
Okay, let's do that. All
Yeah.
right. So Emily and Brennan, girl, they've been on different pages this whole season, but even on decision day, because in her little voiceover, she goes, I'm ready to just get it all out and express myself. And he goes, I'm just hoping that we can get in, say what needs to be said, and keep it pushing amicably or
Move
whatever.
on peacefully. Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, this is already, I wrote down, I already know it's about to be a mess because
Oh, she came ready to fight. Not
this
literally. She
this
was
is
on edge, you could
Emily
tell.
from the after parties. So
Mhm.
I think people have been saying, oh, she's been this way the entire time. No, I don't think so. I think she was one way during the season. And then based on how things went during the season, um, she kind of switched it up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I think she's worn down, and even him thinking like, "Oh, we're just gonna split amicably." I think, Brennan, you should know your ex-wife or wife by now.
Yeah.
Lying to her, gaslighting her, that you're not moving on peacefully without her saying her piece.
Okay. One thing that tickled me about their sit down with the experts, which the experts look nice in their bright colors, I guess.
Mhm.
But Pastor Cal says, we go through months and months of vetting. You don't have to lie to us. You ain't got to lie, Craig. We know y'all don't go through months and months of vet. First of all, y'all only film for 2 months, and then y'all go to the next city. What time do you guys have for months and months of vetting? Let's be very for real.
I think they go through a lot of applications. I think they spend a lot of time maybe sifting through and finding people.
Yeah.
I will say though, I think many of these people present well on paper and in interviews, but clearly not in practice.
And maybe it's easier said than done. Like, I feel like if you put me in a room with a lot of these people, I'd be able to weed them out. But I don't know.
Mm.
It's
You're
easy to say
confident,
that.
aren't you?
Huh?
I say you're confident, aren't you?
Okay, maybe not by myself. If they put me and you in there, come on.
I'm
We
like, oh
would
yeah,
be
girl, weirdo vibes.
right. But by the end of it, we wouldn't have any contestants. So that would be the issue. We would
Everybody
have
would be
found
gone home. Yep.
we would have vetted them way too hard. We would have vetted ourselves out of jobs at that point. So
Yeah.
anyway, um, it was also funny to me that Dr. Pepper said, we want happy marriages, but clearly she saw that that wasn't going to happen here. So she goes, well, we'll settle for accountability and personal growth and whatever else she said. But it's just so hilarious to me that from the jump she goes, well, this is what we want, but clearly that's not about to happen with y'all. So maybe we can get some other things out of this.
Yeah, they know what's been going on. Even Pastor Cal said from the beginning, Brennan had a certain type in his mind. Early on, he realized that Emily wasn't going to be it, and he didn't even try beyond them getting home from the honeymoon. In fact, he was trying to not move into the shared apartment.
Yeah, and when they showed that clip, it was from like 7 weeks ago, which means
Mm.
it only took him 1 week to decide, I don't want this anymore.
Then he opens it up. He says, "Oh, I grew to be a lot more resilient than I thought." Dr. Pierre was looking at him like, "Are you serious?"
Emily says you think you grew, but you did the same things. Like he said, usually I would run. Bruh, you didn't even want to move into the, you don't think that's running?
What and that's the thing. I get why she's frustrated because you're thinking, what reality are you in? And Emily clearly has her set of issues, but
Hmm.
I think to get home from the honeymoon and not even move in, try to move in,
Yeah.
and that kicks off everything. How did you think this was going to go? Mm-mm.
Brennan and Dr. P, I guess, got into a little something, nothing too intense, but essentially she was saying, how did you try when I gave you exercises and you never did them? You never even tried to do them. You tried to remix and flip it and reverse it and pretty much avoid the advice that I was giving you to make this marriage a marriage and not a friendship. So,
I was here for Dr. Pia calling him out. The other experts didn't step up and say anything
until
because
the
right before
end.
that, he was talking about, oh, I was there for you for your accident. And she's like, oh, you checked all the boxes. And so I'm
Mhm.
glad Dr. Pia stepped up to try to hold him accountable. We could see all season. He did not see it for her. She, in return, really didn't see it for him either.
Yeah.
So I was glad in that moment that she started to push back because I feel like in previous seasons, we get to decision day or these sessions, and the experts have seen enough and they don't call these things out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she you know she's new on the job, so she got the energy. Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal are
They're
like,
worn down.
okay.
These people can't be helped.
They've accepted the fate. She asked him, Brennan, do you feel like you're being defensive? And this time he admitted it. He said, yeah, because I feel like I'm being attacked, which I want to see where he's coming from because there was a lot of holding him accountable due to his lack of accountability throughout the season. So I can see how he felt attacked, or maybe expected that they would go easier on him, or he wouldn't have his feet held to the fire as much. So I kind of
I,
get him feeling attacked.
I don't get it because they're calling out the things you actually did. I would be more understanding if they were making things up.
It can still feel like an attack, even when it's the truth. When there's multiple people saying it to you.
I think the reason why Dr. Pia chimed in
Hmm.
was to set the record straight with the truth.
Yeah.
Had she not said anything, they would have just gone back and forth, and Dr. Pia would have had to say, or someone would have had to say, no, we saw
Yeah.
what happened. So he could say he's being attacked, but she's calling out things that he actually did or didn't do.
Yosha
So
is not letting this man have anything. He wasn't. Nobody was attacking him. That's ridiculous. Okay,
mm-mm.
so he brought up the constant negativity again, but interestingly, every time he talks about her constant negativity, it always goes to the vows that Michael said to Chloe. So I'm like, what are the other examples? Because I believe there are other examples of things he interpreted as negative. I just kind of want to hear what they are. I want him to, you know, show his work.
Well, his whole thing has been let's be positive, let's show things in a good light. So
Mhm,
I think his idea of what's positive and negative is different, I think, than most people,
mhm.
because I think even the whole diary cam footage
He
debacle, I
deleted,
think
yeah.
she was being honest. To him, that's being negative.
Mm,
Like, oh, you're being so down. And like if I'm calling you out about something that you're doing that's not so great, that could be seen as me being negative or calling out the not so great things.
yeah,
Or it could just be, hey, in order for us to move forward and fix the behavior, I have to call it out.
yeah.
So,
I am glad that she acknowledged that negative thing that she,
mhm,
because the past conversation she didn't, mostly because I think she took it as a personal attack of your negative at your whole being, which he
mhm,
spoke to a bit in this meeting. He said, not that that's all of you, but it's a lot of what I guess he encountered. But I appreciated her acknowledging it
mhm,
and then saying, but if I knew sooner, I could have fixed it, because I don't know that you're interpreting those things as negative. And in hindsight, yeah, me making that comment about the Michael and Chloe
mhm,
Bao thing was negative, and I could have addressed that had I known. That was my biggest issue with him, was he felt like he was protecting her feelings by not saying things, but if you
mhm.
don't express what's wrong, it will continue to be wrong.
And the way he was so caught up in this whole thing of I'm protecting her, it got me to thinking,
Yeah.
is there a side to you that you don't want us to see as far as how you would communicate things? Because it's sometimes maybe not even what you say, it's how you say it.
Hmm.
It's I was almost hearing it like, "Oh, I'm protecting you from me, from myself." Like, you don't really want me to take it there with you. I'm
Yeah.
protecting you. I'm protecting you. Uh, mm,
I took it as either that or something else. So I agree with what you said, because maybe he thinks if he tells her exactly how he feels, like, oh, I don't think you're the most attractive, or I don't think you're XYZ, that it will hurt her feelings. So he thinks he's protecting her in that way. But also,
mhm,
I feel like when he talks about protecting her image, he's maybe withholding things that she would probably be okay with. Like, for example, if Brennan
mhm,
came out and talked about, oh, her drinking
mhm,
consistently and constantly, I don't know that Emily would be afraid for that to be out there. She's a
mm.
girl who is proud about her love for a drink. So maybe he thinks he's protecting her by not presenting her as someone who likes to drink, but she doesn't mind.
And in all the off-camera time, you couldn't have communicated that. As Pastor Cal said,
All
I
the
call BS on it because you can't operate in a marriage that way. And if he really wanted to make it work with her, he would have sat her down in a calm way and just
Mhm.
communicated the things that he wasn't happy with. But it goes back to what happened between when they got back from the honeymoon and the move in time. He
Someone
was
in our
already
comments
checked
was
out.
like, they think they slept together.
I think they did too.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah, I think they did not. I don't know if that had any bearing on how he felt,
Hmm.
but I know that he decided not to be checked into the marriage
After.
after the honeymoon.
Pastor Cal
Yeah.
said something important. He said, you tried to protect her, but she didn't feel protected. And I think that speaks volumes, not even just with protection, but sometimes you'll hear people, whether it's a couple or just any other relationship, where they're saying, I loved you by doing XYZ. It's like, yeah, but I didn't feel loved by
Mhm.
you in that moment. So your way of loving and my way of receiving love aren't on the same page, and maybe we need to figure out what the
Mhm.
disconnect is and get on the same page. But yeah, that's a lot of what was going on. And then Dr. Pepper said, "Do you think it'll devastate her?" Which was funny to me, because Emily says he said things more devastating than like,
Is this what protection look like? That's
girl.
why I kept feeling, what, I don't know, is there something in you? It's like you don't it's like, girl, you don't want me to take it there.
Hmm.
Mm.
What did you think about the whole "I have enough to ruin you" thing?
I could believe that they were in a back and forth. I could believe that Emily was being hostile with him. I believe him when he said, I will give him that they were in a back and forth and they both were going at it. I could believe she said, "Oh, we're at war. You
Mhm.
want it? I can bring the smoke," because she's been bringing that kind of energy. So I could believe it. And I could believe he said, "Oh, I could ruin you." I believe both of them.
I did too. I'm like, the truth
She
is
was getting
somewhere in the
smart with him.
middle here, or
Mhm.
the truth
She
is in both of their statements. They just
Even the way she denied it was like, "No, I did not."
okay, girl, you might not have said it exactly like that, but come on, let's be for real. I'm glad Dr. Pia gave him a chance because she said that's a really big allegation. So I want to make sure you have a chance to respond to that. I appreciated that because I know for Brennan, it probably felt like this meeting was very one sided, and so I always look for opportunities to try to balance it out, and I think Dr. Pia did just that in that moment.
And she even gave him an opportunity to apologize and save his image a bit,
Yeah.
where Dr. Pia says, "Hey, I haven't heard you take any accountability for the emotional disrespect towards her. I want to give you the opportunity." And he gives this half super bland apology, looking back, if it appeared that way, I'm sorry.
He was just trying to get out of there, which fair.
And I know Dr. Pia was coming for him, but I think in that moment, she was giving him an olive branch to say, hey, the floor is yours if you want to try to clean this up
Hmm.
a bit. And he couldn't even be bothered with.
He was out of there so fast. There were in the end he did apologize, but yeah, at the end they were
Girl,
speaking
that half apology.
speak. And then they were speaking life into Emily and wiping her tears.
This is a situation where, once again, she's got her stuff going on as to why this would be a challenge.
Yeah.
He has his stuff going on, but I think in his attempt to save his image, he really shot himself in the foot.
Mm.
And I think people are more on her side because some of the stuff he was doing was just so crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So blatantly off. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go into Becca and Austin? There was a thing that they had at the end of the episode. I don't know if you want to mention that, but
Are you talking about
Emily and
Brennan and
Brennan. Yeah.
we could wait until the end
Okay, fair. So
altogether.
Becca and Austin. Child. Oh, by the way, I think we saw it coming that Emily and Brennan would say no. Becca
Oh yeah,
and
that's a
Austin,
given.
yeah. Becca and Austin, what were our predictions? I think we said that.
Girl, now we don't remember.
I feel like we said that
I
they
wrote
would
it
both say
down.
yes.
No, I wrote it down for
For
Love is
Love is
Blind. I don't
Blind.
know. These
Yeah,
shows are running
we're so
together.
over this show. But okay, so Becca and Austin, she comes in saying, "I don't know how to fight for the marriage because I don't know if he wants me."
She's still confused.
And he had the nerve to say, "I want to say yes." No, you don't, Austin. You do not want to say yes to this girl.
But then he said his decision has been flip-flopping a lot. So that told me he was going to say whatever she said, but
And I hated that he didn't go first. I hated it. Like, why would they let her go first? Uh,
he was going to do it to save face.
so the experts before, they came in, the experts said that, they had chemistry, they had a lot of interest that they shared. I don't know. Have you seen shared interest between them this season? I don't really think I've seen it.
I haven't seen shared interest, but something that Dr. Pia said, she said, "Oh, I love Austin to death, but he lacks a bit of emotional awareness that Becca has." And I think from the jump, they were making excuses for this guy.
Hmm.
Yeah. Instead of just calling it what it is. And it continued throughout, even with the advice they were giving him.
Hmm.
I don't want to jump ahead, but
Okay.
is it that he lacks emotional awareness or he just isn't into this woman?
And okay, I feel like the experts skewed Becca's decision a bit.
They did with this
Okay.
advice because she came in under a certain energy.
Yes. So, okay. They first of all they said, let's go see if they'll fight for this marriage. So they were already on some let's help them fight for this marriage type stuff. And then I think Austin listed all their like issues. He said religion, intimacy, and then a lack of directness.
I
Those
didn't.
were the issues. Yeah, he listed
I heard the
three things.
communication part,
Yeah,
conflict
he listed three
resolution.
things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in the meeting with the experts, Becca says that she doesn't know that she feels centered enough to make like to tell what's real and what's not.
Mm. Yeah, and I think she sees it as not being centered. I see it as more obvious than that. It
Hmm.
would be one thing if he was giving you all the attention off camera, but not much on camera, because then he could say, like, oh, I'm not a PDA type of person and
Camera
whatever, whatever.
shy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm camera shy. I know this is going to be shown all over the world, but it's the opposite of that. So to me, I don't understand like what's confusing about it.
I think what might be confusing is that her intuition is telling her one thing, but then when you get in front of the experts and they're like,
Or
oh,
him.
or him, it's like, oh no, this is what happens. This is how relationships are. Like, yeah, it's normal to feel XYZ. It's normal to have different religions and try to work it out. And it's normal, you know? And so I think she has wanted so badly to believe the things that he's saying, even though his
Hmm.
actions are contradicting. And she's just been conflicted.
Hmm. She
So
wants to know if she could trust him or not.
yeah, which
Mm.
is craziness.
But like I said, if it were the opposite and he was
Mhm.
not showing as much affection on camera, but was all, really into her off camera, that would make more sense.
Yeah.
But since it's the opposite of that, mm-mm.
Even her answer. So the thing with Becca that I struggle to have empathy for
Mm.
is I think all the signs are right there, and she's acknowledged the red flags, but her answer was, "I'm gonna say no to where the marriage is, but yes to where I think it can be." It's like, no, what you've seen in the last 8 weeks is a glimpse into what a marriage with this man will be. You have to,
Mhm.
you can only go by what you have seen, what his actions have been leading up to now, not what your hope is.
But the experts back up what he's saying by saying, "Oh, we'll give it an opportunity once the cameras are gone."
Pastor Cal did say, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
once the
he's
cameras are gone, that's when you really get a chance to see. No, because the cameras aren't there
mm-mm.
24/7. I've gotten a chance to see.
Yeah, and he still hasn't openly said what is causing such a switch up in behavior. He still has never said.
But then we found out maybe what it was. So, they both say yes. Austin's answer was less drawn out than Becca's. No surprise
Oh,
there.
wait, before we get to that,
Yeah.
Dr. Pia said something I did not agree with. Love you,
Oh,
Dr. Pia.
okay.
But Becca started talking about her anxiety, and then Dr. Pia says, "Oh, tell your anxiety to be quiet.
Hmm.
What do you have to lose to trust if he's telling you the truth?" Excuse me?
You, mm, I do remember
Love you,
him
Dr.
saying
Pia,
that,
but
but
this is her intuition telling her she should be listening
screaming at
to it.
her.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that.
I,
Uh-uh.
I don't like, because your emotions are really communicating things to you. And so I don't, and I understand she said it was anxiety, but I don't know if it was. I think she's interpreting it as anxiety. I think it's just her intuition like sounding every alarm that it can. But
I would be more understanding of that advice if it were a different issue,
if it was
not
someone who
this.
was into her and actively showing her love and
Mhm.
reciprocating,
Or
yeah.
maybe she's like, "Oh, I've had all these past relationships that traumatized me and da 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 da." Then it's like, "Okay, girl, you have to give him a chance."
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I agree with you and I disagree with Dr. Pia on that. Okay. So then we get to after decision day. I don't really know what they decided at decision day because they had the conversation.
So I think what it was, it was a yes. Then they have this moment by themselves outside where Becca says in so many words, "I want to take some time to get centered. Want
Mhm.
maybe a night alone,
Yes.
just to like clean through my thoughts." He's like, "Well, I'm good. I'm happy." And she's like, "Yeah, well, can't you tell I haven't been for the last few weeks?"
Yeah.
And so I think from that moment, it was, "Hey, we're together. But since we've been in a shared space, we just made a huge decision. Let's have a night to
Okay, okay.
ourselves. That's what it sounded like.
So with that, I don't know what the timeline was. It seems like it was that same night.
It was that same night.
Okay. So do you think she should have felt
Mm,
some type of way about it? Don't do your face like that. Do you think it was warranted, her feeling that way about him being out? Because she started it out by saying, well, I'm home and Austin's out, which in and of itself, I don't know that I would see an issue with. Maybe her expectation was that he would be reaching out to her more, trying to talk to her more. But
mm.
if you said you wanted space, can you really demand that he's in your space? Like, I don't.
I think it wasn't that he was out.
True.
I think it was that he was with
The
the
producer.
guys,
Okay.
one of the guys.
I'm
You
like, get
can't
to the.
read my mind that well.
I know.
He was with the guys, and then who are also single, and you know,
Don't
but
care.
I also think too, because none of these girls like these guys. It's clearly the guys versus the girls going on. None of them see it for each other. So I think it's that, and then it's this specific person he was with, and he was dumb enough to lie about it. If any woman ever asks you a question in that manner, how does she ask it? She says, so did you go out last night? Who are you with? If you get a question like that from a woman, assume she already know. She might have video footage.
Right? He
So
was there and caught you in 4K.
and I wish I had a cup. He's just like,
Very nonchalant.
yeah, I was out. Oh, well, who are you with? Was a producer there? Oh, no.
Okay. Do you feel like maybe this producer is the reason why they didn't progress? Because it seems like Becca felt like that. So obviously it's something she's been holding in the entire season.
It's something that's been a problem because she says this has been an ongoing thing.
I
So
want to
I
hear.
don't think it was just that he was out.
Yeah.
I think it was he was out with this producer person that they've already had a conversation about, and she
Mhm.
finally put it all out there. And even the girls thought enough, because I'm like, okay, well, Denver is not that small. So they run into each other.
And again, Claire. One thing
Yeah,
about
that's
Claire, she gonna spill the beans.
which to me, the fact that they ran and told her, girl, he out here, da 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 da. I don't think if they just ran into him and he was out,
With the
that
guy.
they would have texted her. I think
Yeah.
they all knew this producer person had already been an issue. So yeah. I think it what sealed the deal was him lying about it, because all he had to say was, yeah, I was out. Yeah, we ran into so and so. Learn how to lie.
And I learned how to lie. And the
Do
fact that she
better.
was doing it in front of everybody, how do you feel about that? I feel like you're gonna be like, yeah, she should have done it in front of everybody.
Actually, so one thing that did annoy me was how much the girls were chiming in. The
Right.
guys sat there and said nothing. Becca's a
Exactly.
big girl. All y'all had to say was, I could see one of them being like, actually, because he was lying about it essentially. And so I could see one of them saying, oh, yeah, but we did see you with so and so.
Mhm.
And then leaving it out them coming in and joining in on it. I wasn't here for that. So for that reason, I think it should have been a private conversation.
And she planned it because that night when she found out, she said, well, tomorrow we have this meeting with everybody.
And the way that Austin came in, he
Where's
was so
Becca?
relaxed.
He had a
The
great night.
happiest we done seen him in weeks.
He had let his hair down. He was so chill.
I don't know what was in that cup,
Oh my gosh.
but he was enjoying himself. He's like, oh, we're in a good spot. We're happy. No, you're happy to be done.
It was almost like he didn't see it coming. But
Mm.
yeah. I agreed with you about the girls chiming. I said not them being the peanut gallery,
Yeah,
but
they didn't have to do all of that.
what I did hate was Becca's hesitancy to end things, because there were several moments like, so Lauren goes, so what are you saying? And she goes, I'm saying a lot of things because I'm emotional right now. No, girl, what are you saying? Tell this man you don't want him and pack
I
it up.
I think in that moment, she was expecting him to push back more, was expecting him to be like, "Oh, no, babe," like, give her more reassurance, but he don't want her. And in fact, I'm not gonna say he fully planned it out, but that gave him an easy out.
You know those people who won't break up with you but want to make sure that they give you reasons to break up with them? That's Austin.
And I don't believe they just ran into each other. Denver, even if you did, why are you hanging out with the cast?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, maybe they all frequent the same types of places.
Maybe, but she wouldn't have said this producer has been a thing in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
marriage unless it
absolutely.
had been a thing. So, and it wasn't as though, because I think they all have their own separate producers, right?
Yeah, each couple.
So it's not like, oh, we linked up with Brennan's producer or with Claire's producer. No, it just so happened to be their producer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it didn't sound like the other producers were there. So she said, I've given you a chance to make me a priority and you haven't. And he never did. Uh and then it turns into this girl versus boy thing when Claire says, I don't want to interfere. But then of course
girl, here you are.
she interferes, and it turns into this back and forth between the guys and the girls about how they all feel silenced. And
And you see Orion like,
right, and Chloe and Michael,
they like, oh,
the way they just sit there and eat their food and observe, I'm here for it. That would be me, like, oh, what is
they're
happening?
like, the kids are fighting because they're the
Right.
oldest.
Like, let's just sit here and enjoy this barbecue and get us an earful so we could gossip about it tonight. But yeah, it turns into this girlfriend. Here's the thing: each of them has a different situation, right? But I think because they've gotten so close, they have found the similarities, and now they've attached themselves to those similarities. So was Claire silenced by Cameron? Probably not the way that she's trying to make it seem that she was. I don't think she was silenced by Cameron like consistently when they weren't around each other enough. And also, like he said, you do have to define silencing because there have been things that she didn't want publicized that I respected as well. So I think it was easy for her to jump on the bandwagon that the other people have experienced, even though that wasn't fully her own experience.
Yeah. When she said it, I think I didn't take it as specific of her being silenced. I think
I did.
I took it in a more broader context of we've been silenced maybe in different ways. But I will
Mhm.
say that Cameron coming for her throat,
He was like, now what we not finna do is
he was hype. And
right.
I will say, I don't know. I think that there's a difference between what she was describing and what he was. I could believe that she came to him or anyone in this process would say, hey,
I
if I
would.
share with you certain things about my family, about my
Yeah.
past, my personal life, I ask that you don't put that all out there. We don't have a conversation about X on camera, especially if we stay together, our
Mhm.
families are going to have to watch this back versus the experts wanting to know how is the relationship progressing? How is this person treating you? To
Mm.
me, those are two different things. So I understood what she was saying. Yeah, there are things I asked to be private, you know, like with Love is Blind, Clay blasting that his dad is a cheater the whole time. Why are you putting all that out there on TV versus how is this person, how's the relationship going? That can't be expected to be a secret on a dating marriage show.
Yeah, I do just feel like maybe she was jumping on the bandwagon a
She
little.
was a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
but I could see it
and
from
I
the
bet she wished she would have sat there and ate her
ate her
food.
food because she was texting him like, trying to come, but I hope they figure that out. I mean, it's not a big deal. Like y'all, besides Lauren and Orion, y'all were married for the shortest time. Like it shouldn't be all of this. Uh, I
Mhm.
appreciate it at the end when Emily gave a very sincere apology to Brennan. I think Emily is a very sweet person. And I know
Tried to
people,
make it right.
yeah, I think there are people who are going to disagree because they see her being, um, they see her reaction to the way that she's been treated and they think that she is like Brennan or worse. But I disagree. I think she's a sweet person and that apology was very heartfelt. He seemed to accept it well. Uh, and she definitely took accountability for whatever wrongs she has done without being coerced into it.
Yeah, I will say, this episode made me think about how it was like no one is perfect for marriage, but I do think that there was something about each of these people that I think as individuals, maybe they shouldn't have been casted for this show.
Even Lauren,
Yeah, even Lauren. Mhm.
interesting. I
Even
think her
Lauren, Orion, all of them
I
had
could see
something to
Orion.
them as to where I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't so much see it with Lauren, but I could definitely see it with the rest of the people. I think
Mm,
Lauren's imperfections to me were just normal imperfections. Like she wanted this to work and was giving it a shot. I do think she was way too open to friendship from him, but that's how people are with breakups. I don't know. I don't
mm,
know, child. Anyways, apparently they're going to be following these people after decision day. Which, if I were a contestant on this show, I would just let them know, hey, my contract is up. Enough is
mhm.
enough. I don't care if y'all couldn't cast Michael, a person who wanted to stay with him in the beginning. Like that's not my fault. Cut the cameras. But apparently they have
Mm.
agreed to it, so whatever. I don't know when we're gonna get a reunion show, but
Girl, next year.
it better be before the end of this month because Love is Blind has come and gone. How Love is Blind has been able to wrap this up within 4 weeks max. I need y'all to do the same.
Here we are 20 weeks later.
20 weeks later. And is it even 20 weeks because were we off for Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
21 weeks later. 22
Yeah.
if you count the matchmaking special.
Mhm. Wow. Y'all like this video. We're still hanging in there.
All right. And we'll see y'all for the Love is Blind reunion and then for whatever episode Married at First Sight gives us next week.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.